Gopijana Ballabha Girivanedhari Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Gopijana Ballabha Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Viśvanātha Paramahansa Prabhupada Kacharya Askotar Srimad ISKCON Founder Acharya and Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ananta Gari Vaishnava Vrindaki Acharya Śrīla Haridas Cakravartī Name Sivaho Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrī Vasudeva Gaur Vrindavan ki, Shri Mayapur ki, Gangamai ki, Yamunai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Gaur Kripanidhi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sarasvati Vyasam Tathojayam Virayat Nasta Preshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, cricket cursed by a Brahmin boy, Canto 1, Chapter 18, text number 31. Eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ. eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ. Anyone else? eṣaḥ kim nibhṛta-aśeṣa karaṇo mīlitekṣaṇaḥ mṛṣā-samādhir āhosvit kim nu syāt kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ. eṣaḥ this kim whether nibhṛta-aśeṣa meditative mood karaṇaḥ the senses mīlita closed īkṣaṇaḥ eyes mṛṣā false samādhiḥ trance āho remains svit if it is so kim either nu but syāt maybe kṣatra-bandhubhiḥ by the lower kṣatriya. Upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kṣatriya. Please repeat. Upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kṣatriya. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupada. The king, being a devotee of the Lord, did not approve of his own actions, and thus he began to wonder whether the sage was really in a trance or just pretending in order to avoid receiving the king, who was a kṣatriya, and therefore lower in rank. Repentance comes in the mind of a good soul as soon as he commits something wrong. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura and Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī do not believe that the king's actions was due to his past misdeeds. The arrangement was so made by the Lord just to call the king back home, back to Godhead. According to Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī, the plan was made by the will of the Lord, and by the will of the Lord, the situation of frustration was created. The plan was that for the so-called misdeed, the king could be cursed by an inexperienced Brahmin boy infected by the influence of Kali. And thus the king would leave his earthen home for good. His connection with Śrīla Sukadeva Gosvāmī would enable the presentation of the great Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered to be the book incarnation of the Lord. This book incarnation of the Lord gives much fascinating information of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, like his Rasa Lila with the spiritual cowherd damsels of Rajabhumi. This specific pastime of the Lord has a special significance because anyone who properly learns about the particular pastime of the Lord will certainly be dissuaded from mundane sex desire and be placed on the path of sublime devotional service to the Lord. The pure devotee's mundane frustration is meant to elevate the devotee to a higher transcendental position. By placing Arjuna and the Pandavas in frustration due to the intrigue of their cousin brothers, the prelude of the battle of Kurukshetra was created by the Lord. This was to incarnate the sound representative of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita. So by placing King Cricket in an awkward position, the incarnation of Srimad Bhagavatam was created by the will of the Lord. Being distressed by hunger and thirst was only a show because the king endured much, even in the womb of his mother. He was never disturbed by the glaring heat of the Brahmastra released by Ashvatam. The king's distressed condition was certainly unprecedented. The devotees like Maharaj Bricket are powerful enough to forbear such distress by the will of the Lord, and they are never disturbed. The situation in this case was therefore all planned by the Lord. Omajnana Timanandasya Giragina Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
যুদ্ধের সূচনা করার জন্য ভগবানের আয়োজন ভগবান তার শব্দের প্রতিনিধি শ্রীমদ্ ভগবত গীতা অবতরণ করার জন্য সেই আয়োজন করেছিলেন তেমনি
in this chapter
মহারাজ পরীক্ষিত
we are learning here
সমস্যাপূর্ণ পরিবেশে স্থাপন
Kali Yuga has entered the scene, and by the influence of Kali, a Brahmin boy will curse Maharaj Bricket. However, we know that Karmana Daivanetrena Dehu Jantu Papataye, that although there are 5 factors of action, the ultimate deciding factor is Daiva, or the Supreme Lord. And that the hand of the Lord supersedes all other elements of action. Adishtanam tatakartam, karanam cha pritag vidam, vividam cha pritag cheshtam, daivam chaivatra panchamam. Krishna tells Arjuna in the 18th chapter, 14th verse, that there are 5 factors of action. Adhishtanam, the place and the time. Ṭhākura, karta means the doer or the worker. And karaṇo means the instruments of action, which are the senses, the working senses and the knowledge acquiring senses. Those are 10. And then cheshta means one's endeavor. And ultimately, daivam, chaivatara. Daivam means Krishna himself, who is directing the wanderings of all living beings since time immemorial, as is stated in the Upanishad. The Supreme Lord is directing the wanderings of all living entities since time immemorial, as he says, sarvasichaham hridishani vishto, that he's in everyone's heart. And of course, the conditioned soul is proposing so many things, but ultimately Krishna is the final decider of what you get, what you won't get, and so on. Purushu prakriti stohi bhukte prakriti tadgunam karanam gunasango syāt sadasam yoni janmashu. So the living entity is going through so many births and deaths, but it's all also has to be condoned by the Supreme Lord. So we sometimes wonder, these great devotees of the Lord, and Krishna says, Ma suchaha, don't worry. He says, Sarva dharma praja, give up all your dharmas, all your misconceptions, surrender to me, don't worry. But here we see, Prabhupada mentions that Arjuna went through so many trials and tribulations. The Pandavas, they went through, the poison cake, the shalak house, the fire. Their wife was dishonored. So many trials and tribulations. Why is this? After all, Krishna says, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. You're my devotee, then you're my friend. Machita sarva durgani mṛṣā-samādhir tarishasi. He says, if you become conscious of me, then by my mercy, I'll remove all the durgas, all the dangers in life. He tells this to Arjuna. So why is it that here Maharaj Parikshit, great devotee of the Lord, grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira, Arjun, and now he's being put into a very, very, what you might call a reverse situation. Tate nukampam shushamikṣamano. Such a reverse situation. Why? Is he wondering why? Why, Krishna, are you making me suffer? I thought, you were my protector, master, and friend. As Rupa Gosvāmī says in Upadeshamrita, that out of the 6 forms of surrender, one is to always expect the mercy of Krishna, and to always see Krishna as one's master, protector, and friend. What's going on? So we see this theme going through the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. We know that Maharaj Chitraketu, he was a powerful king, and he had no son, and then when Narada Muni and Angira Maharaj blessed him with a son, but he said, the son will be the cause of both your distress and your jubilation. Harsha Marsha, your distress and your jubilation. So he was hankering for something like a son, kind of in the material arena of ritualistic performances. A man wants a son so he can perform pita and relieve himself from all reactions to sinful activities. But we know that devotional service is far superior to any kind of ritualistic activity in the Vedas. So anyway, ultimately Maharaj Chitraketu was flying around the entire universe in his airplane. He was enjoying, it says that he was enjoying so much in different valleys and so on, but he was always glorifying Krishna. So his devotional service was mixed. And we know that he came upon Lord Shiva, whose wife, Parvati, was sitting in his lap. And he was thinking, how wonderful this is that Lord Shiva, the greatest personality in the universe, such a great personality, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, has his wife sitting on his lap like a common, ordinary human being. But he was just wondering. He wasn't actually envious. He wasn't expressing any kind of envy like Daksha did. Prabhupada says, Daksha was very envious of Lord Shiva. He was very proud. His heart was filled with pride, which is a demoniac quality. So here we see that Parvati curses Chitraketu Maharaj. And here we're going to find that the son of the Brahmin, Shringi, will curse Maharaj Parikshit to die within 7 days. So actually in Chitraketu Maharaj's situation, Krishna wanted to quickly bring him back home, back to Godhead. So he was cursed to take birth by Parvati. Take birth as a demon. How dare you criticize the Mahadev, the Lord of religion? And we know he took birth as Rittashura, who was actually looked like a demon but was a devotee. Just as, and Prabhupada mentions that Prahlad and Bali Maharaj, they were born in the family of demons, but they're actually great devotees of the Lord. Mahajana Yena Gatasapa. They're one of the 12 Mahajanas. So here Parikshit Maharaj, Prabhupada mentions here that Parikshit Maharaj, he doesn't have to accept the curse of this Brahmin. He's a very powerful devotee. He actually saw the Lord within the womb. He saw the Lord protecting him from the Brahmastra of Asvatthama. So he's a very great devotee of the Lord. And he could have counter-cursed or avoided this curse, but he saw that perhaps this is the arrangement of the Lord. Tate nukampam shushamikṣamano bunjane vatma kritam vipakam rigvag vagbubir vidadam namaste jiveta yomukti pade sabdaya bhak. That the Lord arranges for the devotee to go through many trials and tribulations. So the devotee of the Lord sees, oh, this is God sent. If I'm going through any kind of problems, it's God sent for my purification, for my ultimate purification, so I become Atmanivedanam, one of all the different processes of surrender. Atmanivedanam, surrender everything to the Lord. Give it all to Krishna, like Bali Maharaj. I surrender everything to you, mind, body, soul, my heart, everything. And and therefore these devotees of the Lord, they're given everything that they could ever want because they fully surrendered to Krishna. So Bali Maharaj, Lord Vamanadeva became his doorkeeper down in the Atala planet, in the lower planets. He just surrendered everything to the Lord. So Maharaj Parikshit here, he is a surrendered soul of the Lord, pure devotee of the Lord. And he accepts this as the Lord's will and the Lord's plan. What is the plan? Prabhupada mentions here that the book Bhagavatam, the book Bhagavat, there's the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. Kalitam phalam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, all the Vedic literatures, all the Smritis, all the Shrutis. This is the essence because it deals specifically with devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which is the highest of all things. Vasudeva para yoga, Vasudeva parantapa, Vasudeva para jnana, Vasudeva para kriya, Vasudeva param gatim. Vasudev, Krishna, is the goal of everything, the goal of all your tapasyas, all your kriyas, your activities, your ritualistic, everything ultimately comes to how much will you love Krishna. Vasudeva sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. You'll be a very rare soul. So here Parikshit Maharaj sees that there's the arrangement of the Lord, and Prabhupada mentions that Sukadeva Gosvāmī, who was wandering around, he comes to near the banks of the Yamuna River, and the sages of Naimisharanya are all assembled there, and Maharaj Parikshit is sitting by the river, and he's asking Sukadeva Gosvāmī, what is the purpose of a man who is destined to die? Of course, we're all destined to die, but Maharaj Parikshit was given 7 days' notice. And so the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is then related, 18,000 verses is all related, and the theme of the Srimad Bhagavatam ultimately is Vasudeva Ganiyatyu Vairagyam Gyanam Chayata Haitukam. That the whole goal of life is how to engage in pure devotional service to the Lord. Adokshaja. Ahaituki apratiyata yayatma samprasidati. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, although spoken 5,000 years ago, is still very extant. It's very pertinent, and it's meant to deliver personalities throughout the various yugas. So in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he was also stressing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Rupa Gosvāmī also. He said there are 5 very important activities in devotional service: living in a place like Mathura, always associating with devotees, worshipping Tulsi, performing kirtan, sankirtan, and the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Nityam Bhagavata Sevayad. Every day we hear these wonderful pastimes of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. Tadiyanam Tadarchanam. Lord Shiva says, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Tadarchanam. So the devotee of the Lord actually becomes even more important than the Lord himself. That is, the Lord is always pushing his devotee forward. He gives Arjuna all the credit, but it was his arrangement. He says, except for you, the Pandavas, everyone on this battlefield will be destroyed by my will. Right? This is Krishna's plan. So Krishna also allows for Kali Yuga to, one of the 4 yugas, to manifest. But he's so merciful that the book Bhagavatam, and Srila Prabhupada used to tell us also, used to say that anyone who touches my books, this Bhagavatam, they'll be touching the Supreme Lord. He said this book is non-different from the deity. You can even offer bhoga to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because we were traveling all over America and Canada, all over the place, sometimes devotees would say, there must be eating bhoga. Prabhupada says, no, you take the books and you offer the bhoga and it becomes prasad to Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada would tell us that even if someone touches my books, their lives will become perfect just by touching these books. So much purification is there. Bhakti Yoga Priyojitaha Janiyatya Vairagyam. Aniha means that simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one's heart becomes so purified that one becomes free from all material desires. Aniha, aniha, aniyamanasya. In the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj meets a Avaduta lying in the forest. And Prahlad Maharaj says, you're just lying in the forest. What are you doing? And so this person is actually self-realized soul. And he started instructing Prahlad Maharaj on the path of Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga, Shiksharsham Eka Purusha Purana, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dari, Kritambudir Yastva Maham Prapadye. This verse was given by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that the Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has appeared now to teach us renunciation of all desires, subtle and gross. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama Janmani, even the 5 forms of liberation, devotee doesn't care about. He doesn't care. Actually, Lord Shiva tells Parvati in the 6th canto, Narayana parasarvena kutaschana bibyati svarga pavarga narakechi. He doesn't want to go higher. He doesn't care about the dualities of life, hell, heaven. He doesn't even want to go to Vaikuntha and enjoy the forms of Srishti, Mukti, Shrishti Mukti, Aishvarya Mukti, the same form as the Lord, Rupa Mukti, Swarupya Mukti. He doesn't care about this. Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare. He says, let me take birth again and again as long as I can become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan can come and step on me like this. Like Lord Brahma even prays, let me be an Indra Gopa in Vrindavan. And of course, Vrindavan here, Gokula Vrindavan, is a replica of the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna is constantly enjoying his pastimes with his intimate devotees, the cowherd boys, his mother Yashoda. He's experiencing and tasting these different mellows of devotional service. And the devotees are diving and surfacing in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of the nectar of devotion. That is all the devotee wants. He has no other desire but how to please the Lord, how to please Krishna, and how to please the devotees of the Lord, how to please the servants of the Lord as well. It states that the gopis, they're just like the leaves and the branches on the creeper, which is embracing the tamal tree of Krishna. And although they don't have direct contact with the tamal tree Krishna, they derive more pleasure from assisting the creeper, which is embracing tamal tree of Krishna, that is Radharani. So that is the idea, the psychology of devotees. So here Maharaj Parikshit, pure devotee of the Lord, he is exemplifying all these qualities that Krishna tells Arjuna in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Yo na rishati na dveshti, na sochati na kankshati, subha subha parityagi, yo mad bhaktim same priyaha. And Krishna delineates a whole list of qualities the devotee has. In this one, Krishna is saying, the devotee doesn't care about lamentation or hankering. It's two sides of the same coin. I'm hankering or I'm lamenting. I didn't get something, I lament. And then I want something else, right? You're not on the transcendental platform. Subha subha parityagi, he gives up the concept of auspicious or inauspicious. Oh, you're very pious. Oh, you're very impious. These are all dualities under the halo of, of the material modes of nature. All the dualities, even in the mode of goodness. One is thinking, oh, this is pious, this is impious, this is moral, this is... Krishna doesn't care. He tells Yudhishthira Maharaj, I don't care about your morality. Tell a lie. Aswadam is dead. Aswadam Margya. He says, Aswadam has died. Come on, tell a lie for the higher good. What is that? Krishna's order is far more important and transcendental than your mundane morality. So because Yudhishthira, he hesitated. Krishna wasn't too happy with him, and his chariot fell. His chariot would always be above the ground by 1 or 2 feet. And when he hesitated to conduct Krishna's desire, the chariot hit the ground. And he had to see hell for one moment also when he was going back to the spiritual world. So Krishna therefore says, surrender to me completely. Completely. Give it up and become my pure devotee. Cetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matpada. In all activities and for their results, always depend upon me. Always depend upon me, and then I will take care of you through all situations. Krishna has a plan for all of us. Maya tatamidam sa. He's everywhere. He's in your heart, right? And he knows past, present, future. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana. Bhavishani chabhutani mamtu vedana. He says, I know everything, past, present, future, and I know all beings. So what's the problem? So Parikshit Maharaj, he doesn't retaliate against Sringi. He doesn't retaliate against him because there must be a greater plan here. There must be a greater plan. So just as Queen Kunti, she said, bring on some more trials and tribulations, right? Not John, how does that verse go? Anyway, she says that I wish that these calamities would come again and again, and thus I could see you again and again. Vipada shantashva tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsad apunar bhava darshanam. Let these trials and tribulations come, purifying process. I'm becoming purified by all these trials. Some people preach, oh, when you surrender to God, you know, then everything will be like paradise. Not true. Ultimately, these are trials to force us to always remember the Lord. The first instruction of Rupa Gosvāmī, always remember Krishna and never forget the Lord. One thing emphasizes the other. Don't forget, but remember. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajite antikali. Always, wherever your mind is. So, antakali chamameva. Think of me constantly throughout your life, so that at the time of death, you will remember the Lord and the Lord's holy name. So Prabhupada says here clearly that the pure devotee's mundane frustration is meant to elevate the devotee to a higher transcendental position. By placing Arjuna and the Pandavas in frustration due to the intrigue of their cousin brothers, the prelude of the battle of Kurukshetra was created by the Lord. And then, of course, in the entire Mahabharata, the main intent of Krishna, of course, people want to hear stories and intrigue and all these things. We love to hear about heroes killing others and you know, romantic stories. But here it's related to Krishna, so it's transcendental. And inside of the Mahabharata, Krishna gives the ultimate instruction, the theme of the Bhagavad Gita, that you are an eternal servant of the Lord and you should do your duty. He tells Arjuna, you should do your duty. Sahajam karma kontaya sadosham apinam. You should not give up your duty, because all duties are covered by faults, just as fire is covered by smoke. So you should never give up your duty. It's a mode of passion if you do, tells Arjuna. And he says, yasya na hankrita bhova buddhir yasya na lipyate. He said, if you act without false ego, thinking that you are the doer, you're the cause of the outcome of your actions. Yasya na hankrito bhavo buddhir yasya. When your intelligence is pure, means I am calculating how to please the Lord with my brain. Buddhi yasya na lipyate. Hatvapi saimala. He says, even if you kill people in this world, under the guidance of the acharyas and Krishna himself, you will never be entangled by the reactions of sinful activities, even if you kill someone in this world. Hatvapisa imaloke nahanyate. You're not the killer, nor will you be entangled by the laws of karma. So here, Parikram Maharaj, being the transcendentalist that he is, great devotee of the Lord, he is understanding this higher concept of action and reaction. And therefore he surrenders and accepts this as Krishna's arrangement. Just like Draupadi. Okay, Krishna, I give up. And then Krishna immediately protects her from dishonor, right? Tulyaninda stuti monir santushtayena kenachit. The devotee is always free from the effects of honor or dishonor, doesn't care. So they were going to dishonor Draupadi, but ultimately she gave her hands up and just depended on Krishna. And he supplied her unlimited sari so that she wouldn't be defamed or dishonored. by the Kauravas. So here, ultimately, Prabhupada says, finally, in conclusion, devotees like Maharaj Pariksit are powerful enough to forbear such distresses by the will of the Lord. So even when a devotee is empowered, Kali Kalir Dharma Harinam Krishna Shakti Vinahe Nahe Tara Pravartana, the devotee can become empowered by the Lord. Just like we see Srila Prabhupada, he took the order of his spiritual master. He met his spiritual master in Calcutta in 1922. He was 26 years old, and immediately Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, "You have good English. You should go beyond the boundaries of India. You should cross the ocean, and you should spread this mission of Srimad Bhagavad, of Sukadeva Gosvāmī, of Vedavyas, spread this mission of the Bhagavatam throughout the world." And Srila Prabhupada struggled so much through his life, but he always kept that order of his spiritual master, his life and soul. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasada nakatikado. That is the secret of success. Yasya devi para bhaktir yata devi tata guru. One who has firm faith in both the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, then he will be successful in life. So Srila Prabhupada struggled in New Delhi. He struggled to print, his magazine. He had no money whatsoever. Krishna took away his business, pharmaceutical business. When Krishna likes you, he'll give you something material. But if Krishna loves you, he is the Lord who takes away. But he gives you himself. By your acceptance that he's taking everything, then you purchase Lord Krishna. You purchase him. He's a property of his devotees. So Prabhupada quoted this verse when his business failed. Yasyaham anugrinami haneseta danam chana. Tato danam chidantiya se swajana dukkha dukkita. All his relatives rejected him, his friends rejected, everyone rejected him. He was alone, struggling for the pleasure of his spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura. He was really endeavoring, and all his God were saying, "Oh, Abhay Baba, your thoughts are too lofty. Your aspirations are too lofty. What do you mean spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the world?" Well, Lord Chaitanya, it's stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Priti Viti Yachayata Nagarodi Gram, Sarva Chapachoya Hoibe Mora. Every town and village, everyone will know of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the Yuga Avatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has predicted it. Someone's going to do it. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted that this Senapati, this great general, will appear, and he will spread this mercy, this mission of the Lord throughout the planet. So of course, Srila Prabhupada struggled greatly, great struggle. So we also have to struggle, but we want to struggle for Krishna. Otherwise, we can struggle anyway. Karshati, Purusho Prakriti Stohi Bhunkti Prakriti, Karanam Guna Sangosya. The living entity is struggling anyway in this forest of material enjoyment. We're struggling. The government officials are like, locusts who are always attacking us, trying to tax us. Or family members are trying to exploit us in different ways. This is all described by Jada Bharat, Tamar's Rahugana. So struggle is there. Why not struggle for Lord Chaitanya? Why not struggle for the great acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and his predecessor acharyas? That is what Prabhupada did, and he set the example. And here Maharaj Pariksit is setting the example. Okay, Krishna, tate nukampam shishamikshama. Yasmin no dvijite loko, loka no dvijite chaya. Harsha marsha bayod begir, muktaya sachame priyaha. Krishna tells Arjuna, 12th chapter, that one who's never disturbed by anyone, or who never causes disturbance to everyone. He's transcendental platform, the Brahma Bhuta. So he doesn't accept offense. oh, this Krishna sent me another another test. Not that, oh, Prabhu, why did you yell at me? Why are you offending me? Come on, Prabhu. Don't you know who I am? Yeah. So, not like that. The devotee's mind is always fixed on the Lord's lotus feet. He's transcendental to the actions and reactions, the modes of nature. And so he sees, okay, I must have offended someone in my previous life, so now that person is angry at me or resentful. These things are there, I simply accept. Like Haridas Ṭhākura, 22 marketplaces, being beaten. Oh. And he's praying for, please, Lord, please, just take them back to Godhead. Please don't give them any reactions to this sin. Haridas Ṭhākura, Namacharya, 300,000 names every day. Who can do that? We struggle for 28,000. The great personalities, they're completely Trinadapeesa and Turoriva. They're like tolerant as the tree. You take everything from the tree stands in the wind, in the cold, in the heat. Very tolerant. People come, cut the branches. It's okay. Like this. So Prabhupada went through these trials and tribulations, and he arrived in New York in 1965, and he pursued. Although many times Prabhupada was going back and asking, when is the boat going back? When is the cargo boat leaving? But he wasn't really interested in going back. He knew that Krishna had a plan for him. And everything exploded, everything mushroomed out. 66, 67 thing, the Hare Krishna explosion. Who's behind it? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has empowered the devotees of the Lord. Devotee becomes empowered by the Lord himself. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishna. Lord Krishna appears as covered, not like Krishna, right? So he's in the mood of a very compassionate devotee, Srimati Radharani. And he has empowered the great Acharya Srila Prabhupada to take these risks and take all these trials. He was gored by a bull. He fainted in the heat of the Delhi sun. People were playing intrigue with him. He kept going. And he was simply praying to his spiritual master at the Radha Damodar temple, and crying. He was weeping. The spiritual master had empowered him to do these things. So we're also, by pleasing and having full faith in the spiritual master, we also can do some service to Srila Prabhupada's mission and to the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here, Parikshit Maharaj, he is an instrument in the manifestation of Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam, the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures, Srimad Bhagavad Purana. And so we get to hear this beautiful, transcendental, wonderful stories and glories of the Lord and his devotees throughout the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavad Purana. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. We can have some questions now and comments. Yes, Mataji. Is there a micro?
Thank you, Prabhu, for a wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
My question is this. We know that Srila Prabhupada faced enormous difficulties in carrying out the mission of his spiritual master, but he never faltered. He kept going. But when difficulties come to us, we just fall apart, we start moaning and weeping and crying and saying, what is this? We hanker, we lament, and so on. So how can we also remain steady in the face of difficulties and not fall away from the practice of Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, your question is, we're struggling with the trials and the dualities of life and the unexpected reverse situations but because our minds are not as firmly fixed with great determination, how can we overcome these trials? Therefore, samahatma sudurlabhaha, one is very rare to attain pure devotional service. We're at the stage of Vedi Bhakti, rules and regulations. We force ourselves, we got to get up, we have to chant our rounds, we have to go to Mangalarti, see the deities, meditate on the Lord in his deity form, Archa Vigraha, and so on. These are the sadhana bhakti, which is being elaborated by Sanatana Gosvāmī. He introduced Pancharachaki Vidhi, and he wrote the literatures on this, is empowering and strengthening ourselves, our determination, our core determination to continue serving Krishna. In this stage of Vedi Bhakti, which is the initial stages in devotional service, until we come to Raga Bhakti, which is more spontaneous devotional service, although still regulated, where Narottam Das Thakur describes this in one of his songs, constant thoughts of Krishna, some attachment to the Lord, Raga Bhakti. Until then, there will be struggles, but we shouldn't ever become overcome by lamentation. We shouldn't fall, as Rupa Goswami says, under the spell of lamentation. Oh no, I'm no good, I can't do this. No, it's difficult, but failure is the pillar of success. No one has succeeded without failing. Not possible. So failure is simply a way of becoming tough. When the tough gets going, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. These various sayings are there. So, yatantas mam dhridavrata, determination, tejas, vigor, and vitality. Firm faith in the Lord. Firm faith that the Lord is my well-wisher and he will take me by the hand and help me, but I have to endeavor to get his help. I can't just, it's a fight. It's a fight against the powers of Maya, and Maya has our minds. Chanchala himana Krishna pramati balavad. The mind is obstinate, strong, and determined to keep you here in the world of Maya. Because for millions of Brahmanda Brahmite Kona, for millions of lifetimes, we've been following the mind. And the mind is telling us, you're meant to enjoy this material. But Prabhupada says it's just like salt here, like a salt cave. Wherever you taste, it's salt. There's no real happiness here. So with the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, with the association of devotees, taking shelter, dadati patigrinahi goyam akiti prachati, means that we have to consult with devotees who we see are a little more advanced. Consult with devotees, associate with devotees, practice sadhana bhakti very strictly. Chant our rounds very attentively. Avoid the 10 offenses, right? Especially sadhu nindanam, offending other devotees by mind, by words, or by body. And keeping the mind, Prabhupada said, you have to treat the mind with neglect. The mind is like a wild dog. And Krishna says, Vairagena chagriyate. By renunciation and practice, gradually the mind comes under control. Harness the mind with the holy name, pure holy name. Chanting in the association of devotees is very, very important. That's why we all come to Mayapur, come to the holy Dham, to take shelter of sadhu sangha. Very, very important. One of the most important things is the association. One time Srila Prabhupada said, our spiritual advancement 80% is associating with devotees favorably. Always associate with devotees favorably. Yes, Prabhu?
Guruji, thank you for the class. You raised a very valid point. Like Krishna says, mṛṣā-samādhir. But in the lives of Arjuna, or for the matter of fact, like any other devotees, their life is full of miseries and adversities and lot of troubles. So I was thinking that Krishna is saying mṛṣā-samādhir, do not fear. So this do not fear is definitely not adverse situation. So what we should not fear? Like what is it that we should not fear? Is it general, or how do you understand that?
The fear, Lord Chaitanya told Haridas Ṭhākura, the most unfortunate person is one who has come to Krishna consciousness and then leaves. That's the most unfortunate person, asking Haridas Ṭhākura. So, neha bikramo nasusti prativada nividite swapam apyana dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. That the greatest fear is the one falls back down and slides into the world of birth and death, the ocean of birth and death, and gradually goes on to degrade himself into the animal species of life. Patanti narake sucho. And Shipam Krishna says, I cast him into lower. So Prabhupada once said, a devotee can become a demon, and a demon can become a devotee. So one has to be very careful. Even on the royal road, there is accidents. So confidence, but not overconfidence. Always check one's pride in being a devotee. I'm a special devotee, I'm so advanced, I know this, I know that. I've been here for 40 years or 30 or whatever. Like this, one has to be careful of these pitfalls and these little traps. Maya doesn't sleep. She's always very attentive, trying to keep you in the prison of the material world, prison house, right? We are cave dwellers, as Socrates says. Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your nice class. We noticed that the sage was not disturbed when Parikshit Maharaj put a snake on his shoulders, and he took it well. And when Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj was not disturbed as well. He understood. He was in this verse. It's mentioned. He's thinking, "What did I do? Was the sage, really awake, or was he?" So he was contemplating on his actions, but he didn't become angry when Shringi cursed him. One observation is we tend to become angry at silly things. We live such superficial lives and we just tend to get angry for no good reason, and we don't try to contemplate our behavior and the Lord's arrangement like this. These devotees, they could see the Lord's hand behind the situation, and then they took the steps, the necessary steps, the right proper steps, what to do. But we always, my question is how to understand a particular difficult situation is actually arranged by the Lord, and take the right steps, or try to do something about it, try to solve it through various means, because most of the time we are trying to use some material solutions to fix our problems, but actually how to distinguish between whether I should take some action about it, or try to understand the Lord's hand behind.
Well, we have to understand the philosophy. 5th chapter, where Krishna, you're not the doer. The soul is not the doer. So if I'm trying to manipulate material energy to resolve my issues, my problems, that's what Draupadi was trying to do, So we get down on our knees. The example is Gajendra the elephant. He was actually Indradumna Maharaj, and he was completely innocent of any offense to the Muni. I believe it was Angira Muni, I'm not sure. But he got cursed. And he took birth as an elephant. And he saw that he was losing the battle. So ultimately he depended on the Lord and glorified the Lord with wonderful prayers. And the Lord appeared and took him back home, back to Godhead. So our ultimate solution is not to try and adjust the material, make adjustments, we're not the doers. We simply have to say, Lord, these are great, great adversities that, have come my way. And I simply have to get down on my knees and pray to you for protection. And pray to you, please protect me. I'm trying to be your devotee. And full dependence on the Lord. Full dependence. And like Lord Jīva is telling Parvati, Narayana Parasarve Nakuta, whether I have to suffer hellish conditions or you give me some wonderful experiences in the higher planets, still I'm your surrendered servant, birth after birth. That I just simply have to surrender to whatever you've planned for me, whatever situation I'm in. What did I do in my previous life? I don't know. Must have done so many things. I'm born in Kali Yuga. I'm not born in Satya Yuga. Of course, the one great quality of Kali Yuga is as we know, is the holy name. It's full of potency. All the potencies of Krishna, which are immeasurable, are in the holy name. So, yeah, we have to always remember Krishna. At any point, you can be hit by something. Could be disease, the enemies, some enmity, some unexpected person attacks you. So many things are coming. Is Krishna sending them? No, we're in the material world. Prabhupada said, in the material world, the two bamboo trees are rubbing against each other. Suddenly there's a fire. He said, well, just causelessly. Without any cause, these things come. Oh, but Krishna, you're the causeless cause of all causes, and you're also the effect. Krishna is ultimately, from the absolute plane, is the cause and the effect of all situations. So, Krishna says, I'm in your heart. You know that. Sarvasichaham, I'm in your heart. Why don't you take a look and depend on me? Focus your mind on me. The Prahlad Maharaj, his father, his own father. You have any children? His own father tried to kill him. What is that? That's the greatest offense. Prahlad's just remembering Krishna constantly. And they couldn't harm him, right? So this is Krishna's promise, Krishna's protection. I hope that answers your consideration, your question. Don't try to... That's what the non-devotee, the karmis do that, right? Oh my God, I just lost on the stock markets, because everyone, at least in the West, they're always playing the stock markets. Everyone. Their stocks go down, and they just go crazy. They're so dependent on, Aishvarya. Money and the things that money can. That's their whole reality. That's their temporary pleasure. The stocks go down, they go crazy. Sometimes they commit suicide when they lose their wealth, That's the karmi thing. They're trying to adjust. Let me adjust this and that and the other. But devotees, in wealth or poverty, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in wealth or poverty, in sickness or health, in good and bad, let me always serve the supreme son of Maharaj Nanda, Lord Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, who is herding calves in the courtyard of Maharaj Nanda. That's all I care about. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.